the recording starting for Leslie, who is a beautiful reminder to me. Carrie is in, I believe, Durango, Colorado, working on a big several-day bike ride. And so congratulations both to Carrie for her support in that, and for any, not sure if she's riding or just supporting, but sounds beautiful. And Durango's a gorgeous place. We have Courtney, who I don't think is on again, who has just moved to Nashville, Tennessee, from Longwood, Colorado, to take a big job there. And we're sending blessings to Courtney. She will be back with us. She's just in the middle of transitioning. So that's, if you don't see her on the board, that's why. Let me see what else I want to say about that. I think we're good. Yeah. I'm still letting people in, so just know it's going to take me a few more slightly distracted moments. What I thought we would do in the meantime is I'll offer a few statements about awareness itself. And then again, for the people who might have been in yesterday's sitting on awareness, please feel free to join in and talk about your experience with open spacious awareness. So here's just a few statements about it, and then we're going to practice. Open spacious awareness is always available. It is always present. It cannot be obstructed, amazing, by any thought, by any sound, by any sensation, pleasant or unpleasant. Awareness is so large, boundless, vast, open, infinite, empty. These are the words used for awareness itself. It is never not present. It itself, awareness, is never not present. And so then, one of the key questions I think we often ask ourselves is, then what happens to me when I'm nowhere, when life is happening in front of me and my head is stuck in the sand? What's actually happening is only this. There are infinite objects arising in any mind moment, infinite. So let's just take a moment here. You could place attention on the silence that is in this space right now. You could place attention on the screen. You could place attention on my voice, on the bird song, on the family moving about in the house, on the background noises, on the body sensations, on particular thoughts arising, what's happening, what's not happening, where should I place my attention? But awareness does not dim. So the only thing actually happening when we say mind wandering, isn't this funny? It's not actually true. It isn't that the mind has wandered. It is that the mind has placed itself with its attention on an object other than something, this rather than this. That's all. And so one of the things we learn to do in mindfulness is actually begin to turn attention away from that which is always out there, this, that, actually to begin to turn one's attention like a fine mirror towards one's own direct experience. This is the way to being most what? Present, alive, aware, embodied, here. And often by distraction, we call it, we tend to focus on externally experienced, actually there's no such thing, right? That out there rather than what's here. Well, here's an interesting thing that we know from awareness then, and we'll look at John's article, It says, as long as you're focused on that which appears to be external, you do not have sufficient energy, attention, focus, and awareness to actually know one's own experience. Without that infinite insight, wisdom, understanding, and care, we cannot respond to life. We cannot respond because we don't know anything about the truth of this. We only know that. And it is deficient. It is called then wandering mind. Wandering, wrong object. Not that first, but that and this. Open, spacious, unidirectional, multi-directional, always available, open space. That's why we practice open, spacious awareness, to go, well, in any one mind moment, any one breath moment, any one body moment, there are what? Infinite arisings. Infinite. It's beyond your capacity to hold and know. So we know that as we create a large lens, open, spacious awareness, we have a best chance. It is now a best practice to see all that we can see, front and back, left and right, up and down, in and out. That we actually, isn't it amazing then? We actually have capacities to capture things so quickly that we can hold a moment with all that arises within it. With all that arises within it. Now, our sense of our attention is correct. I can either pay attention to this or to this. In any one split nanosecond moment, it's true. But you can now look at my screen and actually, with a wider lens, see both, can't you? And not only both those objects, what else can you do? You can hear my voice. You can see my face. You can see my mouth moving. You can see the shadow. Knowing that, right? Insight might say, there's a light somewhere over there because I can see the shadow in her face. You could pick up the inflection of my voice, knowing something about me, couldn't you? You know it already, don't you? I'm pretty energized today. You know it already. You can feel it, sense the energy in my voice. And then what? In the actual movements of my, I'm not just talking like this, right? There's a little aliveness in my voice, in my body. And so not only can we know oneself in those experiences, awareness is so fine. It's so amazing. We can actually then know something about another. Here's the beauty of awareness. We can hold both. Is that amazing? We can hold the heart, mind, and body of not only ourselves in our own sort of mind-wrapped moment, not that we shouldn't, we should attend. We can then open the lens even wider to include the other, right? This is the beauty, this is the boundlessness then, we say, of one's own heart, mind, not just designed to know ourselves and our own experience, designed to know them all, even those that are then not like ours. And we're working a lot right now, by the way, in our world on things like equity and justice, aren't we? To know and open to include not only my experience, not only my tribe, not only my people, not only my tradition, not only my, but really that we have sufficient capacity built in to this beautiful heart mind to hold that which is not just like me without, this is the beauty also, distress. That we can actually do, these are amazing things. Celebrate someone who is holding a different experience. We are far from this at this current moment. In fact, we have become, haven't we, so intolerant of perceived differences that we're actually comfortable killing, right? We're very comfortable. Like I've had somebody recently say, I'm afraid to say how I really feel because there is currently so much hostility, aggression, and violence. I'm actually afraid that it could equal physical harm, right? We are living through, working through that shadow. By the way, it isn't that it just appeared, it has been there, hasn't it? Within that brainstem for, well, throughout mankind. So when someone says that we can see it, that we can sense it in ourselves, that we can begin to practice with, open into, these are the beauties of our current time. We can actually do some work with it. And I love that. So that's a little bit about awareness. This is the article. I just put it up there for a minute so that you could see which one we're going to be talking about. I'm going to stop that for now. We'll go back to it after the practice just to do a little work with that. I'm going to check chat and then we're going to get ready to practice. I just want to make sure. I'm not wearing any rings today. I'm ringless. Thank goodness rings don't have much to do with love. I am not loveless today, but I am ringless today. Interesting noticing. I'm actually going to work out after this, and that noticing is actually relevant. I don't wear those when I lift weights because it hurts my hands. So good catch there, Chris, you noticed. All right, here we go. We're recording. Everybody looks okay. Yep, we got some people heading off to work out already. This will be taped and put on the Insidious Mindfulness website, so you'll be able to catch this later. All right, here we are. Finding a way into the body. See how you do that. How do you do that? I usually just begin to move the body in some micro movements, just making contact. I just noticed I tapped my feet a couple times on the floor. That's a grounding mechanism for me. I usually move the shoulders, the back a little, finding that stability, brightness, and alignment in the back. And then I set back a little. And so when I architecture it, it has a little bit of rigidity in it, a little bit of establishing myself. And then see if you can't step back from that about 10% into an easeful posture. And then just breathing. And you could breathe just like I am right now with your eyes wide open. Why don't we start that practice in that way and see if you can notice two different aspects. One is the attention. Attention has the capacity only for one object at a time. That's the just nature of our attention. They can happen so rapidly, however, that awareness can hold them all. And so I'm just looking around my room. I'm not even intentionally focusing on an object. I'm just going to place my attention out here about 5-6 feet in front of me in open space, keeping the eyes open. And what you'll begin to notice is you can capture very quickly infinite numbers of objects in awareness, in one breath moment of awareness. And so let's begin to have a little fun with this. First, let's just place your attention on that open space in front of you. We'll call that nothing but open space, no particular object. And what naturally happens is attention in its ever moving, seeking style will begin to pick up other things. It might be just my voice, the screen. It might be objects in the room, sounds in the room, particular temperatures, particular qualities in the body, things like contact, the feet, the seat, it might be temperature. Might be the breath sensations moving in and out of the body. Now, when we rest attention in open space, remember awareness is much larger. It's 360 degrees. You could, even with resting attention here in the open space, you could possibly hear the sound of a bird, for example. A sense door opening to sound, to touch, maybe to smell, to taste. In any one mind moment, these 5 sense doors, hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching, are potentially available to our attention, along with the mind that knows them. Without that mind, all this smelling, hearing, tasting, touching, and knowing are not possible. This is a beautiful apparatus, and it can be directed. Awareness is non-directional. Attention can be directed. And so right now, though we're holding attention in the open space, you will have already noticed probably 100 or more mind objects through sounds, sights, smells, tastes, and touches. This is no problem at all. In fact, as we are resting in awareness, we can simply let these objects come, appear, present into attention, be known, and fade as they will. So what I'd like you to do now is just hold that space, noticing what objects come into awareness. Holding that space 360 degrees, even behind you, though the vision is not there. Where does the mind go? Wherever the attention lands, take a breath there. Let it be more fully absorbed, integrated. You will notice gentle attentional shifts, awareness holding them all. Attention can be intentioned, purposefully placed, awareness always available, non-directional, holding everything. So we train attention. The fact that you know where you have placed attention is awareness. That wandering mind is the movement of attention, not in awareness. We have attentionally disconnected for a moment. This frequently happens with things like thoughts, perceptions, impulses. Often in our current world, lack of attention and awareness to body sensations. We know the trauma that is the result of that disconnect. And then I'm going to ask you to lower the eyes now, just coming back into the body. Let's see if we notice how much sharper we can invite the attention by just focusing on a single object for a time. First, just feeling into the body, knowing this body as a whole. Sitting and breathing here. Now remember, there are continual perceptual shifts for a time. Sounds, other sensations. We're just coming back, refocusing the attention on the body experience again and again. Training attention. Now we know in the neuroscience that to hold one object consistently is like a weightlifting endeavor. It takes practice, intention, and continuous mindfulness. Let's practice with that for a moment. Now, not just this body as a whole. We're going to move the attention, sharpen it from the body as a whole into the breathscape. Finding a sense of breath sensation. See where it's most alive and vivid for you. Directed, focused attention on the breath sensations in the breathscape will begin to stabilize, calm, and center the mind. As Jack Kornfield says, like leading a puppy back to the paper. With gentleness, with an essential friendliness. We simply notice that's awareness happening, the mind in its attentional movement. We smile. That's a moment of awakening. And we invite the mind back to the breath. Awareness arising this moment. Wherever awareness is present, there the Buddha sits. Awareness of breath and breath sensations coming through the sense door of the body. At first, it is only possible to capture a part of the breath. And what you'll begin to notice in the training is that you begin to capture more and more. Not only the beginning of the breath or the end of the breath, but the whole of the breath. Known in awareness. Not only the beginning and the end, but the movement of the breath, the middle, the expanding and contracting. Knowing the whole breath. And the Buddha sits. Awakened, present, embodied, alive. This is the path to the end of suffering. Beautiful at the beginning, beautiful in the middle, beautiful at the end. We are continuing to refine our attention breath by breath. Light of awareness growing brighter, more vivid, more keen. And with that refined attention, we can begin to invite that greater objects into awareness without distraction, without confusion, without grasping or clinging or wanting or not wanting. We've already set the Buddha mind present, still, silent, and spacious. We are already discerning, already using wisdom and compassion in where we choose to place the attention. The mind is not scurrying off. We have faculty, and this is good. We can now open beyond the body and the breath. We can expand the container of awareness with the attention to include now sounds. We're going to let sounds be primary, though the breath, the body, and the sense of open space remain. We place 51% of our attention or more on the faculty of hearing. We have expanded the container in a field of awareness and can be steady, steadfast, calm, and abiding with those increased objects. Can you sense that you have already become a little bit unhooked from the preferencing mind? We're not chasing, we're not resisting. We're simply opening and abiding sounds as they arise and change and pass. The mind stable and still. the light of awareness shining in all directions, but not distracted, focused, still and silent. Attending to sound. Expanding the field once again. Inviting that sense of open sky-like quality of mind. Letting thoughts themselves appear in the field, be known. Fading and passing. Let sound now move very slightly to the background, though we don't need to eliminate or get rid of sounds, the body, or the breath. Or that sense of open space. We now simply include, and for a moment, let the focus be on focus. You may not have a full grammatically correct sentence as a thought. It may be any brief object of appearance, a quick image of something. It might be noticing a sound. It might be capturing a preference, a liking or not liking. Be watchful that we don't misinterpret thoughts for this. The cat ran fast up the tree, period. Thoughts do not appear this way. Any mind object is actually also considered a thought. So we could include almost everything, including body sensations, sounds. Every mind object is considered a thought as well. And if you just went, oh, that's a thought. Continuing to keep the body soft, the face relaxed. Let awareness do the work. It's already here. infinite points of data happening every breath without distress. Resting in the open space of awareness, letting those thoughts, those sounds, those sensations the Buddha sits. There is no thought happening that is independent, that is just yours. It is built on infinite causes and conditions. There is no need to take claim, and also no need to reject, push away, or weary. We let the thought arise and pass with the same ease as a sound. Not caught, not hooked, not carried away, but present. We can open then the field wide as vast, and deep as all experience. To the depths of the seas and the vastness of the skies. This is the quality and the capacity of our own Buddha mind. We rest in that stillness, that silence, that open, infinite, and empty space of mind. And then we infuse that space with care, with commitment, with loving kindness, with compassion. We greet and welcome everything with an open heart and an open mind. Buddha being. We actually invite that sense of the open, inclusive, loving presence. This is your birthright. This has been gifted to you. Can be open with loving presence to everything. And amazingly, that everything must include you. Your sensations, your thoughts, not just yours, but being experienced this moment by you can invite the phrases here with whatever is arising. With that bird song, may the bird be well. With that twitch in the ankle, may this ankle be well. With a distressing thought or emotion, may this heart and mind you can feel the vastness of that open space. Remembering that this is not only your true nature, it is the true nature of all. May all beings be well. May we all be safe. May we be free from inner and outer harm. May we be peaceful and at peace. Rest in this vast open space filled with loving kindness. May we all be happy. And may this practice, this day, contribute So it is just a few minutes, 7:53. So I do know that we have some people who also need to transition, just always know that we're grateful for your being here and that we know you need to go when and if you do. So feel free to do that. I never take that personally, even if I should. I just don't. So you'll have to let me know if it is personal, because I don't take it that way. Just going to drop in for a moment on the practice itself, seeing what questions or comments there might be about this practice of resting in open, spacious awareness, holding everything. And what do you notice about that as we set the intention and then the attention? I notice for myself that my mind stabilizes just consistently better when I just pick one object first. That it's just harder for me, probably to some extent by training. Also, the way I think the mind works, it's a little easier for me just to capture the wave first and then open to the ocean. I don't think it's necessarily, I think training is a part of that. So for those of you who may have a training for just resting in open, spacious awareness, you might notice that it's very easy to just rest in open space and let objects come and go. It's just easier for me. So you'll notice my instruction tends to be the way I do it. But that doesn't mean that there's a better or worse, a righter or more wrong way in any way. There are different traditions that hold those objects in different sequence. So any questions about that, anyone? Any observations? You can write into chat or just come online, whatever works. Looks like calming. Yeah, Renee, is it more calming for you in one pattern of that or the other, or is just the whole experience calming? Thank you, Joyce and Rick. Good to see you both. Is it, Renee, preference, calming in the whole of it? Do you notice you do better to focus on just the breath, an object, the body, and then expand that? Do you have any sense of that for yourself?
Well, I'm trying to think, but I think slowing the breath down, focusing on that, and then just trying to clear my mind of all worries and so on, and just
So
it helps me to not feel.
Oh, go ahead.
It helps me to see the thoughts as not in my head, but going past.
Yeah, not stuck in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
do you have to get rid of thoughts, do you feel like, or is the focus on just one object, be it the breath, the body sensation? Do you notice that that's sufficient as a way of letting the other stickier, hookier thoughts just pass away?
just focusing helps those fall away.
Yeah, most
feels
people
like
say that. Okay, good. That's I think many people's experience. There is no need to push away or get rid of or let go. That's the thing I just want to make sure we understand. The very focused attention on one object will naturally allow those other objects. Not initially. Initially, they all carry about equal weight. Does anybody notice that? Like, that one and then that one. It's really this refined attention that lets those other things that are still there, by the way, be what we call a non-self clinging. We don't grab them. We don't make them about us. We don't take them as truths. we simply rest back, stabilize the mind. And then those very same thoughts, by the way, first are there and not being tended to or grabbed or made mine. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is they actually aren't there to the same extent. We have only recently gotten clear based on the neuroscience and what we can now measure about that. The question of whether those thoughts were still arising and that we just weren't attending to them was actually considered possible. Now we know actually the whole mind settles. And so there is not the proliferation, same proliferation of thoughts as there is when we are unattended, misdirected, unfocused. We could use all of those words, and actually letting the thoughts proliferate is actually what's happening versus really directing attention. Focus on the breath and body helps me to slow down and let thoughts with the breath most effective to relax deeper into calm focus. It's true for most people. Yeah, thank you, Satya. It's never personal. Well, I'm not that sure, Satya, but not for you. Thank you. Yes, the focus on the breath and body both embodies us, gets us back to our instrument panel, right, where we can know, sense, see, feel, experience, as well as not just having attention be like a Labrador with a room full of balls, right? Could you imagine that? Like wouldn't even know where to go, and the attention would be flickered and destabilizing. We know this now from the trauma work, destabilizing, that one of those balls that we'll call a trauma or a distressing thought or a distressing emotion becomes so large or feels so big that it feels like it is too much often, right? It's actually not, the thought isn't larger, it is the attending that it is only this that is known in the moment. And really the work is what? To come back, widen, sit back, create space for that thought, as well as the thought, I'm all right right now, for example, for the thought, and then watching that come and be and go, right? That in that open space, we can see the beginning, the middle, and the end of every arising, and don't get it. Oh, there's only this happening. And of course, in trauma work, we widen the lens after we stabilize, as Renee was saying, in something that feels non-threatening, non-distressing. It's one of the reasons we often use the breath, but I want to say to everyone, there are some people with certain experience with the breath, those with asthma, those with COPD, those with bronchitis, those with a regular tickle in the chest or the throat. If you've ever had those conditions, what you might notice is this is not the best object for me right now. It's actually causing some invitation to distress. And so we find a more neutral, in that moment, object, rather than an object that already has a cathected, we call it, associated distress attached. This is how we often work with pain, with distressing thoughts. We actually widen the container in the lens. We include other objects that are more neutral or even more positive. This might be the metta practice. And we rest there as a way of holding ultimately everything. The mind in its fear-based nature will zero in to only the object of the tiger and not see the infinite possibilities for safety. Only this, and that distress factor we know is dramatically limiting, dramatically aggressive, fight or flight oriented, reactive in nature, and does not allow for the greatest potential or use of our greatest capacities. This is happening in everyday life, then we know, right? When I see the partner chewing loudly, I'll use a funny example. I zero in on that and miss the beautiful meal. I miss the gorgeous sunset, the laughter in the house, the dogs playing, the health of this body mind. It's infinite because the nature of a threat object. And it is not actually the nature of the object at all. It is the nature of the mind that greeted it. Isn't that interesting? It is the nature of the mind that greeted it that is already in distress, that then sees the enemy, then sees all things as the tiger. And that's what John was talking about just a little bit. I'd like to go, I'm going to look for, make sure I didn't miss any. Let's go to the article for a minute. I want to see if we can chat about this for a few moments. This is the very first paragraph for me was already, I was hoping for all of you that this would be meaningful. This is the essence of awareness. Awareness holds everything like a reflective mirror, and that's often its metaphor, but it does not become the characteristic of the object in which it is placing awareness, which is why awareness itself can hold distressing thoughts, can hold anger, impatience, annoyance, irritation, but with the light of awareness does not become that, actually can hold it as an object of mind with awareness, knowing something about it and the body and relationship and the mind without contracting. That's the nature of awareness itself. So here's John saying fear does not make for fearful awareness. Anger does not make for angry awareness. Depression does not make for depressed awareness. It is simply abiding, calm, present moment awareness, holding that experience. And boy, if we could just practice that recognition, this is not, there is the mind always available. It's how to tap into that. That is not in that level of distress. We would all be well on the path to less suffering. Is there anybody who had any other thoughts about that before we go on? It's one of, I think, just a deep teaching by itself. I'm going to check chat because I see something there. Yes, awareness is not conditioned, and so does not identify with fear or any other mind object. Doesn't identify with any. It simply is the vast open field that says yes to this, yes to fear, fear arising, yes, distress arising, yes, the body in its experience with this can even be held in that vast open space. This is why we practice it in the shallow water times of ordinary moments, just like this, a regular morning for most of us, where we're just go, okay, can I do it today with that crow, with that foot, with that ankle, with that knee, with these thoughts, and the answer is what? Yes. Yes, we can. Unconditioned means does not take on the attribute of, does not become the attribute of the object. And in fact, it does not. You have to claim it. That's an actual requirement. Awareness itself does not take claim. It's simply abiding, knowing, experiencing, and giving you data about that. It is the contracted mind that goes, I, self-clinging mind, this, mad like this, distressed like this, angry like this, fearful like this. It isn't to not have the experience. This is not seen as helpful. In fact, we know that we grow in compassion, love, and kindness by going, oh, distress, this human body, a mind in distress like this, held by that Buddha nature, held by that awareness itself. Thank you, Greg. That was an important insight. Let's read the second paragraph. Let's see if there's anything in there. John's just saying here that awareness is like water for a fish, just always available, so much so that it has an invisibility, non-recognition capacity, like air would be for us, that we often don't sense, see, and know it because it just is a part of the ever-present landscape. He's saying there what I said, which is it's always actually available. Awareness is never dimmed. People talk about it that way. It's never true. It is that attention did not catch an object that did have some potency for the heart mind, a distressing object. I used last week the example, I'll use it again, of feeling wonky. That was my word. And in that feeling wonky, it literally couldn't come up with a better word. I didn't really know exactly what body sensations. It was vague. I couldn't feel anything really. I felt a little teary. I felt a little low energy, not a lot, just a little, didn't really. And it took several days of holding that experience in open, spacious, and loving awareness, not pushing away, not rejecting, not going, I should just get over it. Why is this here? It shouldn't be here. For me to make contact with the present moment grief that I was actually, and I can call it now by insight, by understanding, and with a depth of compassion, grief. My father's birthday's coming, and I didn't remember in any way that. And as a result, it's like, what is happening? When I finally made some connections by staying present, I was able to then draw some wisdom from pieces of what else began to happen, but I had to pay special attention to that experience. The awareness was never not there. The attention was distracted. The attention was off on work things and getting the house done and planning retreat and getting ready to leave to see my, X, Y, and Z items. What I was not doing was really just resting in awareness and letting what was to come. I was actually over focused on other things, and so could not make contact with what was also there, right? And that's an example. So the awareness doesn't go anywhere. We often are placing attention in other, sometimes external, task-oriented, planning, doing, so that we miss in the essential stillness and silence that is required to capture these more subtle experiences, like the body sensations, like the thoughts that are coming, like the emotions that John says here, there's a shift in our relationship with experience, which gives it a larger space. He says here a degree of freedom, a choice around our response to it that can hold it in a way that allows us to cultivate insight, wisdom, and then skillfulness, a skillful response. So that's a part of what he's speaking to here. Awareness transforms emotional pain, just as it transforms the pain that we attribute to the body and body sensations. I don't know if any of you noticed, but as we are holding the body in a larger container of open, spacious awareness, not zeroing in on sensation, but holding it in the field, in the skylight quality, you notice that, and we notice in the research, that there's a much larger capacity to be with, bear witness, hold, and attend to physical challenges and sensations. It's when we over focus that it becomes all about the knee, all about the me, all about the, that actually we can lose skillfulness because we have got a picture that is too narrow. It doesn't mean that we don't attend. It means that we also rest back after making contact so that we can see it in relationship. That's what John's saying to what? Everything else in its arising. Not this and everything else, including our distress, principally about it, which can account, as we know, for up to what percentage? 80%, says the research, of reactive pain can be not only the sensations themselves, but the experience, the distress, the not wanting, the wanting something else that we bring to it, and can account for up to 80% of our perceived distress. And so that we know that is also a factor. Here he's talking about the way thoughts can impact pain, and then not only impact it, but cultivate qualities of emotional distress and emotional pain as well. He's saying we can use awareness to test out these qualities of thoughts, of emotions, without being carried away or drowned by them. And of course, we all know this. And that this is wisdom arising naturally, that it is not something we have to strain or strive or press to do. It is actually available from the awareness itself. I love this, that wisdom is always growing in us as we are in awareness, and that it is not as striving in orientation as we tend to believe that it is, and that we can rest back, lighten up, soften in the body, and that it often has more to tell us than making something happen. Let's see if there's anything else. I happen not to like, this is a common term used, particularly in the 90s, this awareness of awareness itself. I don't like that. I will tell you why, because it implies awareness seeing awareness, which is not accurate. It is awareness seeing the arising objects. But in the 90s, there, I think before some of the clarity from the fMRIs and the brain scans, was that awareness could see awareness. And it's not actually quite true. It's a fine distinction that I don't think we need to beat up today, but it can also hold every object: sadness, anger, grief, thoughts, sensations, the 16 objects that the Buddha identified through the sense doors and the mind that knows them. But awareness of awareness is actually slightly confusing, like who, what, no, awareness arising to all those objects. And I think we'll keep it simple like that. What he goes on to say is that, of course, the greatest happiness, the greatest freedom, the greatest ease, the greatest capacities for response, the greatest potential in the present moment comes from this awareness. And that to the extent that we are cultivating that in our everyday lives, which is why I'm asking that people practice every day for some amount of time. You decide how much, not me, but for some amount of time every single day will sharpen the capacities for lighting up that full spectrum of this mind, so that we can rest in awareness and then act skillfully, responsively, lovingly. He goes on to say that awareness itself is not cold, unfeeling. This is that, we did this a little bit, this is probably the last point, I think it's a good one. Did you notice when I said, and in the light of awareness, in the open field of awareness, there is naturally abiding as well, genuine care. Where we place attention, there goes the capacity for love. There goes, without attention and awareness, there is no capacity for love. That where we turn ourselves, if we could think of it that way, there the heart mind abides, and that they are together. As Deepa Ma said, I do not know the difference between awareness and loving kindness. They're intimately bound in each other. And where we place attention, there love is possible. And I think that's this statement, as well as my hope, your experience in the practice, that you could see, oh yes, and with genuine care, with interest, with inquiry, and then naturally a responsiveness arises with that attention. And so it would be like seeing someone fall, right? And just noticing. Well, it's not even possible, really, right? Like that natural arising of the wish for safety, the wish for ease, the wish for happiness is in us. And where that attention goes, those qualities and characteristics go as well, unless obscured by the narrow-mindedness of preferencing, opinion, self-clinging, that they're just there naturally until we go, what about me? Or, oops, my thinking is different. Or, oh, that's a person that's different than me. That those are add-ons, actually. They are not, they're trained. They are not within awareness itself at all. What naturally happens is, and may you be well, and how do I support you? And right, until we turn that into the tight knot of selfing. So I always watch people on vacation. You guys do too, probably. The selfie sticks, which are fascinating to me, where people are just walking around with these sticks, taking pictures of themselves, and missing the whole actual scene. Like you don't see, nobody's looking at the ocean. There's no taking in the experience of the ocean or the flower. There's just the stick and you. And that limited relationship does not allow then, is all this whole article says, for a responsiveness to life and to you in it. That as we're holding the selfie sticks, we're missing most of the experience, including our own, because we're not actually attending, we're just clicking. And that this ultimately becomes damaging, dangerous, not healthful, and doesn't contribute to your well-being or the well-being of others. I hope you enjoyed the article. It was written many years ago, actually, not recent, but it's one that I found in the file and thought would be fun to share. I'm going to stop that and go back to chat here, see if there's any final comments that we have. Yes, awareness is not a thing. Very much true. Thank you, Greg, for that. It's a process requiring, according to the Buddhist teachings, three things. Three things. Anybody know what those three things are? In the Buddhist teachings 2,600 years ago. That's how clear in the neuroscience the Buddha himself was. It says it requires three things: an object, let's say, for example, sound, a sense door, an ear, and awareness. And awareness itself. That without awareness, without the ear door, and without the arising object, there can be no experience. Now we know this, don't we, by if we didn't have an ear, hearing would not be possible, or knowing hearing would not be possible. If we didn't have a sound or the object, hearing would not be possible. And if we didn't have that awareness. So there are people who have ears, who have sound, but because they are in a coma, for example, there is no registration of that experience, right? So it requires all three at all times in order for experience to be known. So just because the ear door's open, just because there's a sound, in no way means you're hearing. And you know this because all of a sudden we wake up, don't we? Awareness finally opens to include sound. It's like, oh my gosh, that thing's been happening for some amount of time and just has come into finally awareness. All right, folks, it's 8:20 something here. Thank you so much for joining me and the Sangha in practice today. Greg, I think Greg is still here Thursday. Greg, for Thursday sitting in the morning, I will be doing the following Thursday, I think. Yeah.
Following two, actually.
Yeah.
I'll be going.
And then the Thursday after that one, we are going to see who's going to do that one. It might be Mike Shook, which I would love, or it might be me. I don't know yet. But next week, Thursday, it will be me. As I begin to head out to Vegas to visit my brother, we'll see how interesting that might be. A car meditation, which I think would be pretty fun. So I'll look forward to being with you all then, as well as this Saturday at 7:30. We're going to continue our investigation of awareness practice then. So let's just gather ourselves for a moment. Invite that open, spacious, sky-like quality of awareness, including yourself, the space around you, the sound of my voice, and the benefits of this practice. May we gather them here and offer them generously where needed. May we do so throughout this day. May we all be happy, safe, well, and have ease. May we all remember our Buddha nature. and fill our day with love and kindness. So be it. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day. I know you will make it a good one by your presence and contribution. Everyone be well. I'll look forward to seeing you on Saturday morning. I'll probably be in Thursday morning sitting with Greg also. Greg, I'll look forward to that also. See you all soon.